Greetings, my friends. Thanks for coming in and giving me your time. My name is Rachel Slife, and I am a natural nail technician who specializes in non-toxic and organic ways to treat common hand, foot, and nail problems. Today, I'm going to take you through the nail care of a client who presents with a minor toe crowding, the beginning of great toe deformation, and painful corn on the sole of her foot. I've already prepped the cuticle for this client and I'm filing her nail. This large toenail was sort of deformed along the sidewall there, so I'm going up and down the lateral groove to straighten the nail plate out and so that it will be encouraged to grow in the proper direction. It grew that way because the nail bed was detached from the nail plate, and so the nail was sort of pushed out that direction based along her shoe wear and the way that she walks too. Just when you have external forces being applied to the nails will sort of grow in different directions. So it's okay if you use the nail file to return the nail shape to its original form. It'll encourage the skin to adhere and protect the nail from being damaged further. Another example of toenail deformation is right here. This fourth toe is sort of snuck underneath the third toe because of, again, the types of shoes she wears. And you can see that there's a little, almost a roof to this nail, which I'm now trying to take down with a diamond bit. And that roof is because of the way that the toe is smooshed up against the other toe. It pushes the inside of the toenail on the right side here, right where I'm going right now, and it kind of compresses the nail in, and so where does it go? It pushes up. So this is why having a larger toe box is better. It allows the toes to splay naturally as they would if you were walking barefoot. If you already have a client who their toes are very compacted and close together and squishing and she's having discomfort, then you could recommend something like silicone toe spacers and a larger shoe with a wider, squarer toe box, which is one of the things we actually talked about with this client today. That'll allow for the toes to relax more and engage in movement as opposed to being like squished like sardines into an angled toe box. As you can see, I start all my pedicures dry for the most part. There are some exceptions. And this is because I find that I can get a lot of detail work done better when the skin is dry. It responds quicker and easier to the e-file bits, and I don't have to go over it quite as much. I can take off the thickness of some nails pretty easily. If you work with dry pedicures, it's important that you have the proper ventilation and masking as well, because these particles that you see flying around are super fine and they linger in the air. So you need to have a good suction device to clear the air so you don't endanger your client or yourself. One of the things I see immediately when I look at her big toenail are those discolored, shadowy portions on the corners. This is not fungus. It is compacted material that is caught up underneath the nail, and it will get cleaned out and look way better by the end of the pedicure. It was not visible on the video, but this toe had some peaks and valleys. It was sort of bumpy, didn't have a smooth surface, so that's why I'm going over it so much, trying to make it a nice smooth um, nail plate. And it was a little bit thickened too, so taking off some thickness as well. This woman knew she wasn't going to get any polish, so I took out a secondary buffer, and this is my shining buffer. The first buffer had a lower grit, so it was more coarse, and it takes out imperfections of the nail plate and smooths it. This buffer has a higher grit on the dark green side, and the shining side, that's basically just like really smooth. And it really shines up the nail really nice. You can see the reflection pretty well when I'm done here. So you can see that this whole corner here is lifted. That's what that white um, line going diagonally around the corner is. And I'm just trying to really just gently see what's going to come out here. I know that after she soaks, more is going to come out. So I'm not going to spend a crazy amount of time trying to clean this out. Just going to get the big guys out, and then we'll work a little bit more on it later. Okay, now for the second foot. I don't know why I didn't record it, but I obviously have already trimmed her toenails. I pushed her cuticles back gently, just to loosen the proximal nail fold from the nail, and I trimmed off the length of the nails, and now I'm just filing them straight across, and the same steps will be taken on this side as well. You can tell on this foot, her great toe is angled laterally, so it's moving in the direction of her pinky toe, and the second toe is moving medially, and so it's sort of sitting on top a little bit of her great toe because, well, it ran into the big toe. So a big reason for this is, one, her shoe wear. She doesn't wear any specific types of shoes that, are podiatric or anything like that. She doesn't have anything special, but we did discuss the heel to toe ratio a lot, and the size of the toe box, and also not wearing her shoes when she's in the house. She wears her shoes in her house as well, and I am a big believer in getting your feet out of shoes and even out of socks. Some people don't like that. They think it's kind of gross, but it really helps develop the muscles of your feet, your intrinsic muscles, and that helps with your arch and keeps your arch from falling over the years. It also gives you better proprioception. So if you guys don't know what that means, it just means the feedback, the sensory feedback that your body gives you when you touch something or move something. And so when the bottom of your feet, which are highly sensitive, are touching the ground, and it can sense a lot better what your body's doing in space and gives you that feedback, and your balance improves. If you are wearing shoes all the time, it desensitizes your feet because they're just sitting on cushion. You don't sense the pebbles, you don't sense the pieces of food you might step on, or the Legos, or the pencils, or whatever you have laying on the ground. And so it really desensitizes those sensory feedback mechanisms. The other thing is, it gives your toes the space they need to spread out and grab the floor, and that in turn activates the intrinsic muscles of your feet. So there's a lot of benefits to going barefoot. Even just wearing socks, there's been studies that have shown that just wearing socks can increase the pressure around your toes enough that they end up being deformed. So really, it's important to get your feet bare and walk around as much as you can. Okay, I'm going to get off my soapbox now, but we did discuss that a lot. And we also discussed getting her some silicone spacers to wear pretty regularly throughout the day, if not all day long, because she's already experiencing toe pain and foot pain because of the way that her toes are starting to move. So you need to get ahead of the game and be proactive about that before it gets to be too late, and surgeries are recommended, which, we all don't want to have surgery. So get ahead of the game. It's really not that hard to retrain your foot muscles or your toes to become straighter. My mother-in-law had some crowded toes. She started wearing those yoga toe spacers every day, and within 6 months her toes were straight again, and so she doesn't wear them anymore. So it's completely possible to reverse the effects of your crowded toes. If you all didn't know from previous, I don't know if I've actually mentioned it in previous videos or not, but I'm also a doctor of physical therapy. So that's why I go off a little bit on all of the foot and toe and muscle stuff, because I just I've seen it in practice. So, and I'm kind of a nerd that way. Here I just noticed that after I cleaned out the some of the debris that the free edge was not as straight across as I wanted it to be, so I'm just straightening it out. Okay, so I've straightened her out, and there's a light callus right here at the middle of her foot, on the balls of her foot, where their metatarsal heads are. The other foot is worse, and you'll see that later. But the pressure that is put on the ball of her foot is primarily due to the fact that she wears shoes that have a higher heel compared to the toe. So she's not wearing high heels necessarily, but the sneakers have a thick cushion at the heel. So the heel is higher than the toe. That's what I mean by the heel-toe ratio. And what that does is it slides the foot forward in the shoe and sends the center of gravity forward as well. So even if it's just a little bit, so a lot of the pressure she's putting through her foot is going to be at the ball of her foot and at the tips of her toes, where I'm working now, because the foot is being slid forward and the weight is being distributed over the front side of her foot as opposed to the heel. So we talked about her finding a shoe that has a lower heel to toe ratio, because you can still find comfortable shoes with good padding, but not such a huge change in height. Okay, so here's the other foot. This is her corn. It is pretty painful, and as you can see, it was covered with a large layer of excess skin. This is at the 4th met head, and she also has a heavier callus at the 1st met head as well. So I'm taking a carbide bit and removing as much of the excess skin as I can, that without making it uncomfortable for her. Obviously I don't want to burn the skin, so you kind of have to just go slowly and keep asking them how it feels and pressing on it from time to time, because everybody's got a different level of sensitivity. So I'm barely even touching her skin with this bit. It's doing the work for me. I'm not pressing into it at all. So as you can see, all of her calluses are on the forefront of her foot. The bases of her toes, the big toe, the ball of the foot, and there's hardly anything at the heel where typically you would see a heavier callus. So now that I've cleared away most of the harder skin, I'm going in with my um, spherical burr. People call it a corn bit. It's a larger bit, it's carbide, it's got some big teeth on it. And I'm just going in and I'm feeling for the hard part of the center of that callus where the corn is sort of growing into the skin. And I'm just very gently tapping around in that area to see if I can the remove some pressure from the area. And I work on it for a little while. I never did get the seed out, so hopefully the next time I see her, it will be easier to get to the root of it. The other thing we talked about as far as a potential treatment for her are metatarsal pads. They are triangular shaped pads that you put in your shoe, inside the shoe, right underneath the head of the metatarsals. And what that does is it kind of lifts the metatarsals up because it's sort of a humped up pad that presses up into the foot slightly. So with that upward pressure, it relieves the pressure of the heads of the metatarsal from hitting the ground so hard, and it can take enough pressure off to reduce the amount of calluses and corns that would form normally if she didn't have that assistance. But she's gonna see how it goes with just doing the change of shoe wear and the walking around barefoot. And I'm going to send her some exercises that will help her with improving uh, her arch and intrinsic foot muscles. And we'll see if that makes a difference. If not, then I would say after a month or so to try the Met heads. I mean, the Met pads. So I'm just checking now to make sure that I've gotten as much as I can without causing her any pain or soreness. We want to relieve the pain, not cause more pain. So I'm constantly talking with her and pressing in to make sure that it's not any more pain than what she came in with. And right now I'm sort of like squeezing around the callus to see, it'll blanch the skin and sort of see where the center of the dry skin is. So I'm just taking a little bit at a time and just seeing, working with her comfort level. Okay, so I let the client soak for a few minutes in a foot bath while I mix up their body butter for the massage portion. And when I pull them out, their skin is a little bit more softened and I can more easily go in there and clean up the debris, which is what I'm doing now. So we're going to do a little extra cleanup. I think you can tell now that after cleaning out some of the debris underneath there that the yellowy brown shadowy color is gone. So definitely caused by impacted toenails. Don't always assume that because there's a discoloration that it's fungus. It's a lot of times it's just dirt. So because I was able to clean out a lot more, obviously her free edge is a lot longer than what I would want it to be, so I'm just taking it down a little bit more. So I'm using the cuticle nippers to not only remove some hanging dead skin, but trying to get some of this leftover stuck cuticle that's on the nail plate. And sometimes it just doesn't want to come off, so I grab the cuticle pusher and sort of scrape at it just gently, and it comes off pretty easily when I use the corner of the cuticle pusher. I do have one of those angled cuticle pushers that Lori Holloway likes to use, but I find that because they're so sharp that a lot of people I see, especially if they're older, um, they are very sensitive to pressure, and yeah, so I prefer to use stuff that's a little bit more easily controlled, and I can go in there with the nippers really easily. I just have more experience with them, so maybe I'll try using the angled cuticle pusher on myself for a little while and get used to it more. But anyway, I know some of you watch her channel as well, and so do I. But anyway, I just want to let you know why I was doing that, and I'm just going to do a little exfoliation on the bottom of the feet here, and we're almost done. So because I am focused on non-toxic and organic ways to treat the foot and the nails, I don't use any callus softeners. I just use the water to soften the feet, or the skin on the feet. And so I'm finding that maybe I need to use some skin softeners. I've tried using some 42% urea gel, which does work pretty well actually, so I might continue with that. But I did find another brand of callus remover called Sachet. It uses different ingredients from the regular callus eliminator brand that is out circulating in all of the beauty supply stores. And I don't like the callus eliminator because of the ingredients. I'm very I'm very stubborn when it comes to what kinds of ingredients I use on my clients. People come to me because I don't use harsh ingredients, and because people have sensitivities and they know that they can trust me to give them things that are going to be more natural. And this sachet has a really good MSDS safety data sheet. information. There's not a lot of nasty ingredients. Well, there are no nasty ingredients in it, which is one of the reasons I like it. And so I may be incorporating that into my pedicures come, in a few months. And so right now what I'm doing is I sprayed the foot with an all-natural organic chemical peel. It's from Juice Beauty. It's actually a facial peel, but I use it for the feet. And it's very gentle, and I use this organic mitt that I just moisten in the foot bath and use it to help exfoliate the remainder of all the loose, dead skin that may not have come off with the foot file. And this is sort of my version of the salt scrub or sugar scrub that you might use after doing the foot file in a regular pedicure. Well, I hope you learned something and I hope you made it to the end. I am not going to show the massage portion, but I will be showing some before and after pictures, so stay tuned for that. It's coming up in just a minute.